Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle Earth here with a video breaking down the video released by the devs today on Season 6. With each new video or post or whatever we get, we seem to get a little bit more information, extra confirmation on how things are going to work. So we got a little bit more of that, actually a lot more of that today. They released a 7-minute video with this story being told from sort of start to almost finished of what a season would look like. So it confirms a few questions that we have had in terms of how the new season is going to work with kingdoms. Will it be non-roleplay, roleplay, all that kind of good stuff. So stay tuned. All that information coming up in just 1 second. All right, so I'm just going to go through these in order as they appeared in the video. So yeah, I haven't put these in any other order other than what they came out in. But the first thing it starts out is it says, like other free lords, Nicholas could choose to develop one of two types of camps, Numenorians or Easterlings. And it also says that you have the ability to choose between Swan Knights and War Chariots. Now, I don't know if this is specifically saying the only starting unit types are going to be what would be Gondors and the Easterling, like in Rune type of thing, or if these are going to be a hybrid type of both. But at the end of the day, it does show that you're going to have the choice between good and evil, whether or not different regions have different choices for good or evil, or if you start here and then can get the other one through the use of the embassies, which we'll see in a second. I don't know, but it does go out of the way to say here that it's specifically Numenorians and Easterlings, and it mentions Swan Knights and War Chariots. So again, I'm thinking this is Gondor Rune, but they call them Numenorians and Easterlings, so I'm wondering if they're slightly different, or it could be the exact same thing. We will find out. So it is going to be, from what I can tell, non-role play. I don't think they would release this and not specify that there are choices of what you can do. I think this is going to, at this point, be a non-role play campaign. Like I just mentioned with the use of embassies, it does mention this in the video and show here that Nicholas is the character that we're following here, that he forms this embassies to get more units. So again, you see we've got wargs, we've got horses, we've got guardians, we've got sentinels, we got berserkers. So again, non-role play confirmed. We don't know for sure. I don't think they would limit you to just either Gondor or Rune starting troops. That seems very strange. My thought would be that maybe you do, depending on the region, start with a different one, and then you can recruit everything else. But we'll see. But you are going to be able to recruit other things, as you can see here, both good and evil. Here we see just a picture depicting the relationship between nearby settlements, and it just talks about how basically you need to ally up with the cities around you or get ready to go to war with them, which is what happens. Some ally up, some do not, and get ready to go to war. We also get confirmation here on the number of kingdoms we can have. It's kind of been alluded to, and I've assumed you can only have up to 8 kingdoms because that's the amount of rings of power we have, but they hadn't specifically said that yet. So actually was talking about it last night with someone and wondering if there's a possibility that maybe there are other requirements to get a kingdom. That's not the case. It is having a ring of power is how you establish a kingdom. It says, in the current Middle Earth, various powers are quietly rising, yet none were under one banner. Seizing the rings of power and establishing a kingdom has become the main goal. The number of rings also means that there can only be, at most, 8 thriving kingdoms that can simultaneously exist in Middle Earth. Only the most unified and efficient fellowships will be able to become victorious in this war. So again, you're going to make fellowships with the people around you, make agreements, and then with those groups, you're going to try and capture rings and form kingdoms. Here we just get the part of the story where they do capture their ring, which to me sounds kind of like maybe a capital take level of difficulty, because some of the rings of power are in capital areas, some are not. But my assumption is that you build your strength with these fellowships that you're working with, or the fellowship that you've formed. You capture one of these landmarks that has a ring, one of the 8 starting areas we talked about before, and then you will be able to capture the ring and form your kingdom. Here we just get reminded confirmation that you can make your own flag. I talk about the custom flag feature, how it will pop up and show your established kingdom. And then it talks about news of this spreading throughout Middle Earth. And here we see that any other fellowships, now I don't know if the max is 5, this might be the case, but it says that 4 other leaders who led fellowships joined at this point to be a part of the kingdom. So there might be a limit to where only 5 fellowships can be in a kingdom. I'm not 100% sure. I've not played. What I keep hearing, talking to EQ a lot about this, is that this sounds like I'm watching these videos and describing it, and her having played Rise of Kingdoms before, keeps talking that this sounds. So I don't know in Rise of Kingdoms if there's a limit to the amount of fellowships or what the equivalent would be, or if this is just saying in this one it was 5. It would make sense to me that there would be a limit in what you could do, but other fellowships, what it sounds like from anywhere on the map, could join your kingdom. So lots of options there depending on what you want to do. Again, in terms of like game strategy, I feel like you could have different groups that are working together from different areas of the map to see who's able to get a ring more quickly to establish a kingdom, because there are buffs that come with that, which we'll cover in a second. So you'd be kind of an advantage to see if there are any areas with less resistance where you could get a ring, and then everyone that you've allied with from wherever converge on that spot. Then again, you could all try and get to one area. I don't know. We'll break down strategy later, but there's just a lot of ideas going through my mind of how this could be very, very interesting for people to plan and strategize as they go into the new season. Should be a lot of fun. Speaking of ring buffs, there are 2 passive traits for the ring that I believe everyone in your kingdom is going to get. And then there are also 4, I don't know what they're going to be called, but I'm going to call them king abilities, 4 abilities that your king can use. They are on cooldown, but we'll go through these as follows. The first one, the pass ability, is the ability to passively or continuously provide mana to protect the kingdom's territory from being invaded. So it sounds like there's just like a passive protection with having a ring of king to protect certain areas or territories from being invaded. The second is to provide relocation, movement speed, and quick march bonuses to its fellowships and citizens. So again, if a fellowship is going to pledge itself to your kingdom, from what I've heard from other games and how this works, it sounds like it's the same thing, that once you join that kingdom, you could be on the other side of the map and relocate to the kingdom's owned territory here. So that's the second passive ability. The first king ability here is a resource power, which can increase all citizens' resource output, improving kingdom development. The next one is going to be a healing ability, where you're going to be able to select a region after you've been victorious in fighting a battle there, and you can immediately heal a portion of wounded troops after the battle. The next one is called repression, powerful repression. It says here that you can prevent any foreign lords from using reinforcements in a chosen region under full control of the kingdom. So in the past videos, we talked about how if you control a keep and the different watchtowers in a region, or all the watchtowers, you get what's called full control. So if you have full control in certain areas, you're able to do more powerful things with your king abilities and with your kingdom ring. And last here, in terms of the king abilities, the fourth one is for construction. It's going to increase the construction speed of its citizens when building a fort in this region, which again sounds amazing, because watching forts build is the worst. Now, it does mention here that these ring abilities are going to be on cooldown. It also talks about the rings of power communicating with each other, and so it sounds like they, just like war buff, how you can see who's got war buff. To me, it sounds like you'll be able to see somewhere as a king what the other cooldowns are looking like for other kingdoms and other kings with their rings. So you can kind of keep track of who has what abilities. If you're going to war with someone, you can see, all right, guys, they got all 4 of their king abilities ready to go, or no, they just used them, they're just coming out of a battle. Again, I don't know how long the cooldown will be, but just thinking out loud here. The other thing it says the cooldown time reduces for each new ring you gain. So again, my understanding from that, and maybe this is not a foreign feature to other types of games, but it sounds like you can conquer multiple of these rings to then improve these abilities for your kingdom, which again sounds very interesting. I'm hoping there's not too much of a snowball effect where like once you get 2 rings, it's just game over for everyone else. But we'll see how that plays out. But it sounds like you can collect multiple rings of power in your server. Now, second to last slide here, and then we're going to wrap this up. This one also talks about how on the player's rings, the individual ring that every player has, there are 4 different abilities that you get when in a kingdom. So those are in this order. In the top right, persuasion. Persuasion that citizens can take control of squads roaming around the settlement and make them join their own forces. I'm not 100% sure what this is. It says they can take control of squads roaming around the settlement and make them join their own. So I don't know if this has to do with giving troops or sending troops to other people, or if this is just some kind of extra troop feature where slowly your citizens get converted to troops. I'm not 100% sure. It seems kind of worded weird, and it might just be a feature we've already had that's just kind of being reskinned here. But that's what the description of it there. The next one is Midas Touch, which can which can turn a set amount of stone into gold. My thought here, I'm going to make a prediction. And it hurts me to say, if they're making gold more accessible using stone, which again, maybe it's a very limited amount, but gold's something that you can sell gear to get. So it's a money-making thing for them, whether they want to admit it or not. My thought here is elite units are probably not going to be a thing in season 6, because I don't think they would add a feature that's going to make gold a lot more accessible when it is such a crunch, because that means they would make less money. Now, best case scenario, they are just trying to relieve the crunch a little bit. They're going to, for me, this is my best case. Not everyone wants elite units, but I like the elite units. Best case for me would be that they actually recognize the crunch and say, hey, we're going to add a little bit of relief. When you're in a kingdom, you can get some of that stone for gold to continue improving your army. My thought is they're not doing it. They're just adding this as a feature, which will then relieve the crunch, and taking elite units will also really relieve the crunch. So gold to me becomes less valuable here, but maybe they'll keep them and it'll be good. But just my guess is, my prediction is no elite units, but that's random. That's not based on fact here. The third one is urgent support. This skill can accelerate the speed of troops when moving to a fort. So again, sending troops out a lot quicker when you have a kingdom. It sounds like when you have a kingdom, you have a lot more abilities at your disposal to more quickly do things on the battlefield. And the last one is logistics. The ability to allow citizens to expand the expedition range. It's called fort logistics. So I believe fort ranges can be expanded with this ability, which sounds pretty amazing. So that is second to last one. And then the last one, honestly, my least favorite picture of the entire thing is Saruman. Basically, in the story, Nicholas here gets betrayed by his ally, and he's all upset and talking about revenge. And Saruman's saying, don't worry about this small thing, or don't forget about the One Ring as being the most powerful thing, which is fine. But I feel like there's such a cool structure. And maybe, again, I think there is, if I remember hearing right, I'm trying to remember conversations that I've had about Rise of Kingdoms. I think there is like a main thing, like the One Ring. Don't remember what it's called. So maybe this is normal for it, but to me, we've only had the One Ring as the main objective. So to be kind of still thrown out as like, this is it, maybe it'll be done really well. So it's, it makes sense, but it seems like it's like, here's all this cool stuff. And it's like, and don't forget, like the One Ring is still here and the main thing. But again, maybe that is normal for like a Rise of Kingdoms type of game. But it's been the big bad for us for 5 seasons. So I just saw this and was like, okay, yeah, we get it. Like that's still going to be here. Thank you for letting us know. So again, this is some pretty exciting information about season 6. We have, confirmed kingdoms if they were not already there, confirmed. The number of kingdoms, to me, I think non-roleplay is confirmed, and a lot of other good details. So wanted to put this out here for you all and kind of break down my thoughts on how these things are going to work. So thank you so much for watching the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one.